The recent passage of what former President Donald Trump described as a big, beautiful bill through the House of Representatives has reignited a heated debate across the political spectrum, centering on the role of the United States military, defense spending, and the broader trajectory of American foreign policy. This legislative milestone, coupled with Trump's stirring and combative speech at the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he extolled the virtues of American military strength and issued proclamations about unrivaled global dominance, has become a defining moment in the post-presidency political narrative. What is unfolding is not simply a matter of defense funding or patriotic pageantry, but a deeply consequential pivot point in the American dialogue about global engagement, power projection, and the domestic priorities that either support or suffer from these ambitions. So, what exactly is going on with this big, beautiful bill? Although the bill's specifics range across several domains, budget allocations, weapons modernization, veterans affairs, and cybersecurity enhancements, the centerpiece is a significant boost in defense spending. The legislation includes hundreds of billions earmarked for next-generation missile systems, artificial intelligence integration into military strategy, fleet expansion, and fortifying alliances through joint exercises and arms deals. Trump and his allies portray it as a reaffirmation of American might, a bold statement that the United States remains unchallenged as the world's premier military power. Yet, buried beneath the patriotic fanfare is a complex matrix of implications that warrant serious reflection. Trump's speech at West Point was more than a routine ceremonial address. It was a rallying cry, cloaked in nationalistic fervor and steeped in the familiar rhetoric of America First. With cadets standing at attention, he declared that the United States would never again be drawn into endless wars, even as the bill he championed made expansive preparations for future global conflict. Trump emphasized the need for a reinvigorated, armed forces capable of overwhelming any adversary and promised that under his continued influence, the U.S. military would never be second to anyone. This message, while energizing to some, raises serious contradictions. If America is to avoid endless wars, why does it require an increasingly expansive and technologically aggressive military infrastructure? At its core, the bill and Trump's speech represent two faces of the same doctrine, a push for deterrence through dominance. The idea is simple in theory: by maintaining unmatched military capabilities, the US can discourage potential adversaries from even contemplating aggression. But as history has shown, this is easier said than done. In practice, overwhelming strength often provokes rather than prevents conflict, especially in regions where US influence is viewed with suspicion or hostility. In fact, one of the perennial criticisms of American foreign policy is its tendency to conflate strength with security, often escalating tensions with rivals like China, Russia, and Iran in the process. Let's delve into the prose of the bill and the rhetoric surrounding it. From a purely strategic standpoint, investing in the military can generate tangible benefits. It provides a cushion of safety in an increasingly unstable global environment, where traditional alliances are under strain and emerging powers are flexing their muscles. It can serve as an economic stimulus. Defense industries employ millions of Americans and support auxiliary businesses across the country. Moreover, it sends a clear message to allies and adversaries alike: the United States is not retreating from its role as a global superpower. For those who view global stability as a product of American leadership, this bill is not merely a budgetary decision, it is a reaffirmation of purpose. Supporters argue that modernization is necessary. With cyber threats, hypersonic missile development by adversaries, and the increasing weaponization of space, yesterday's military cannot fight tomorrow's wars. Trump's emphasis on expanding capabilities in these areas resonates with a growing bipartisan consensus that national defense must evolve. The bill also includes significant support for veterans, ensuring that those who serve are not left behind, a feature that appeals to even some critics of Trump's broader policies. Yet, for all its touted advantages, the bill has ignited a firestorm of criticism. The most glaring concern is the opportunity cost. Every dollar spent on a new missile system is a dollar not spent on healthcare, education, infrastructure, or climate change, issues that many Americans view as more immediate and impactful on their daily lives. Critics see the bill as emblematic of a political culture that prioritizes martial might over human needs. They argue that while the US military is undeniably powerful, it has too often been used to pursue objectives that are vague, contradictory, or strategically questionable. From Iraq to Afghanistan, the human and financial costs have been staggering, with limited success in creating long-term stability. Another critique lies in the symbolism of Trump's language. His emphasis on dominance and superiority feeds into a form of nationalism that is often exclusionary and combative. It frames international relations in binary terms, winners and losers, strength and weakness, rather than encouraging nuanced diplomacy. This zero-sum worldview, some argue, alienates allies, emboldens enemies, and reduces complex global dynamics to simplistic narratives. Moreover, it raises concerns about civil-military relations, especially when such rhetoric is deployed in a politicized environment. When military institutions become a backdrop for partisan messages, their apolitical ethos can be undermined, eroding public trust and morale. There's also a geopolitical risk embedded in this approach. Nations like China and Russia do not respond passively to American military buildups. In fact, such moves often accelerate their own defense expenditures and strategic initiatives, increasing the risk of an arms race. This phenomenon, known as the security dilemma, suggests that one state's quest for greater security can inadvertently make others feel less secure, thereby prompting them to also arm up. The result is a spiral of mutual suspicion and militarization that makes conflict more likely, not less. In the case of China, where tensions over Taiwan and the South China Sea remain high, increased American military activity could be interpreted as provocation, pushing Beijing into a more aggressive posture. Internally, the bill and accompanying rhetoric have further deepened divisions within the American political landscape. Progressives see it as a betrayal of promises to reinvest in domestic priorities. Libertarians question the ever-expanding role of the federal government in surveilling and controlling global affairs. Even some conservatives are uneasy with the cost, especially amid mounting national debt. The narrative that defense spending is inherently patriotic is losing ground through a more critical, skeptical populace, one that demands transparency, accountability, and a broader definition of national security that includes economic and social well-being. Culturally, the glorification of military dominance poses a more subtle, yet profound, challenge. It can distort public perceptions of what security actually entails. When the military is presented as the primary, or sole, guarantor of safety, there is a tendency to overlook other crucial dimensions: diplomacy, humanitarian aid, multilateral cooperation, and socio-economic resilience. True security, many argue, is not just about firepower, it's about fostering stable societies at home and abroad. A nation can be militarily mighty and still be vulnerable if its democratic institutions are weakened, its people divided, and its future underfunded. Looking deeper into the implications, Trump's big, beautiful bill can be seen as a political litmus test for the future of American power. It asks a fundamental question: what kind of global actor does the United States want to be in the 21st century? One vision, represented by this bill and Trump's speech, is that of the hegemon, unapologetic, armed to the teeth, ready to dictate terms. The other vision, increasingly gaining traction among younger generations and progressive policymakers, is that of a collaborative leader, powerful, yes, but also prudent, compassionate, and guided by shared global interests. These visions are not necessarily mutually exclusive, but the balance between them remains elusive. The bill also serves as a political maneuver. For Trump, who continues to dominate the Republican Party and flirts with future presidential ambitions, it reinforces his brand: strong, decisive, unafraid to confront adversaries. It appeals to a base that values patriotic symbolism and views military strength as synonymous with national greatness. But for independents and centrists, the effectiveness of this strategy remains uncertain. Many are increasingly weary of endless conflict and question whether the old formulas still apply in a world transformed by pandemics, climate change, economic inequality, and digital warfare. In conclusion, Trump's big, beautiful bill and his militaristic rhetoric at West Point encapsulate a pivotal moment in American political and strategic discourse. At surface level, they project strength and resolve. At deeper levels, they reveal complex tensions about priorities, values, and the role of the United States on the world stage. The bill offers immediate tactical advantages, technological modernization, deterrence, economic stimulation, but also carries significant risks: fiscal imbalance, geopolitical escalation, and cultural militarization. The broader question facing Americans is not just whether this bill is good or bad, but what it says about the path the nation is choosing. Are we investing in the future, or reinforcing the past? Are we leading with power, or with purpose? The answers to these questions will not be found in one speech or one bill, but in the collective choices made by leaders and citizens in the months and years ahead. As the dust settles around the West Point podium and the ink dries on the budget's fine print, the real story will be written not in legislation, but in legacy. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos.